Sutra Karma Law Wisdom. There are things that cannot be changed, these should simply be accepted. There are things that can be changed and you should start doing that right now. Wisdom to distinguish one from the other. Wisdom is the ability to change what you can and to learn to accept what you cannot change. However, it is important to note that at different stages of life, our abilities can both increase and decrease, often as a result of our own efforts. Every day, we can begin with a clean slate, understanding that today we may be capable of more than yesterday. And this is true wisdom. There is a wonderful movie, Groundhog Day, and it's no accident that it was made by Americans, reflecting the long-standing Protestant ethic, which is a typical expression of eschatological worldviews, where every day, even every moment, is seen as a potential end of the world. This light-hearted comedy carries a serious message: hurry to become better now, as there might not be a later. Fix your mistakes today, don't fear change, and do good deeds without delaying them for a more convenient time. The Stoics, who believed in the inevitability of the laws of the material world and its periodic cosmic renewal through a world fire, once taught to distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. All material things are under our control only temporarily. Health, wealth, and power can disappear in an instant. Even our good name can be tarnished. Only our internal freedom truly belongs to us, and our loyalty to our inner principles can only be altered by ourselves. A correct perception of the world teaches us to see our own destiny and distinguish it from external and accidental circumstances. This is why ancient Greek tragedies are so instructive, where the hero, only at the moment of death, realizes that they were futilely struggling against what was beyond their control. What remains with them until the end are their decisions and actions. While the Greeks had a static view of the cosmos, or at least one close to the idea of cyclical changes, modern science turns to the theory of evolution. Trial and error is the only correct path, and the victor is not the one who never makes mistakes, but the one who learns the right lessons from them. In addition to genetic information inherited from parents, the specific conditions of the environment play a significant role in shaping the characteristics of a living organism in the post-embryonic period. For different traits, a certain degree of dependence on external conditions is characteristic. However, some traits and characteristics have variability that does not exceed certain boundaries of reaction norms. For example, the color of the human iris and blood group are not dependent on environmental factors and are fully controlled by the genotype. During the Nazi era in Germany, many cruel experiments were conducted on people with the aim of changing traits like eye color, in an attempt to make people resemble members of the Aryan race. All of these efforts ended in failure. Thus, there are some traits we cannot change, no matter how much we want to. On the other hand, there are things we can influence. For example, while a person's height is largely determined by their genotype, it is also significantly affected by environmental factors. Muscle development and body mass are also heavily influenced by external conditions and are determined by our lifestyle. It is calculated that the natural lifespan of humans can reach 120–150 years, yet today, people live on average 70–80 years. One general law of gerontology states, everyone ages, and everything inside everyone ages at a different rate. How a person's life goes and how long it lasts largely depends on the individual. To a wise person, the whole world is open. Only a deity can possess all-encompassing wisdom, but humans can only strive for it. Pythagoras. Wisdom is in the mind, not in the beard. An advanced brain, through its analytical and synthetic activities, determines the ability and readiness to accept the challenges that fate presents and generates thoughts and ideas. To make the brain work fully, it must constantly be armed with new information and systematically prepared to achieve set goals. We do not choose our parents, but our further development depends only on us. For example, a strong mind and energy are closely linked to physical health, which can be influenced by a person. We should not dwell on the past with regret. Once we realize our connection to the events happening, we should try to change everything right now. Wisdom was revered in ancient Eastern traditions. Out of all the gifts offered to Solomon, he chose wisdom, and this made him a great king. I have known all things, both hidden and manifest, for wisdom, the artist of all, has taught me. In the Christian tradition, wisdom is synonymous with prudence. Prudence teaches a person to follow the royal path, avoiding extremes from both sides. It does not allow one to be deluded by excessive abstinence on the right, nor to be drawn into negligence and laxity on the left. In prudence lies wisdom, in it are understanding and sense, without which it is impossible to build our inner house or gather spiritual wealth. Philosophical wisdom of the present age becomes the common sense of the next age. It takes wisdom to rise without falling. Time brings wisdom, but sometimes time comes alone. Unknown author. Wisdom lies in courageously accepting God's will, as demonstrated by the Old Testament patriarch Abraham. His descendant, Jacob, also experienced this side of life. He had to wait 14 years to marry Rachel, enduring deceit and difficult circumstances. One of the hadiths, sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, transmitted by Abu Huraira says, "A sign of a good Muslim is to leave what does not concern them." One of the hadiths, narrations about the words and actions of the Prophet Muhammad, transmitted by one of the most famous companions of the Prophet, Abu Huraira, states, "Part of a person's good observance of Islam is leaving aside what does not concern him." This hadith urges people not to worry about matters that are beyond their control or influence. If we constantly worry or become upset over things we cannot change, it takes away all our attention, thereby distracting us from something truly important, what we can change. In matters beyond our control, a person should rely on Allah and trust Him to arrange everything in the best possible way, as Islamic teachings state that everything is predestined. Indeed, my prayer, my rites of sacrifice, my living and my dying are for Allah, Lord of the worlds. Quran 6:162. However, this does not mean that a person should do nothing. On the contrary, the Quran and Hadiths repeatedly emphasize that Muslims should be active, take on tasks that you are capable of accomplishing. This means that a person should be active in accordance with their abilities and opportunities. Allah has set a measure for everything. Quran 65:3. Not a great thing, but tricky indeed. Wisdom, like turtle soup, is not for everyone. Kozma Prutkov. Wisdom is in the head, not in the beard. Taking an active stance in life is sometimes hindered by a person's tendency to be lazy and underestimate their capabilities, avoiding responsibility under the pretense of being weak and helpless. However, it should not be forgotten that Allah has allotted each person a specific time of earthly life, during which they work for the benefit of the next life. Therefore, believers should hurry to do good deeds and not delay them until tomorrow, which may never come. In Judaism, the ultimate goal of studying the Torah is to achieve wisdom. Rabbi Noah Weinberg advises, in order to gain wisdom, you must first decide that the most important thing you want in life is the truth and that nothing less will satisfy you. Begin the search for wisdom immediately, don't wait until you reach some critical point. Start with a simple exercise. Ask yourself, if I were to meet a wise person, what would I ask them? Make a list of questions about the meaning of life, as well as any personal issues that concern you. Now, seek out people who can answer these questions. Just as there are specialists in medicine, there are also specialists in wisdom. The question is, who are they? Where do you find such people? There are plenty of knowledgeable people, but true wise ones are few and far between. Wise people are not pseudo-philosophers or pseudo-intellectuals. Their understanding of life is real. They deal with questions like the meaning of life and the spiritual potential of a person. They are constantly engaged in learning and live according to what they study. A person who cannot hide themselves cannot be wise. Wisdom is the mind steeped in conscience. Fazil Iskander. Fools may craft a wise proverb. Troubles teach a person wisdom. It is much easier to show wisdom in others' affairs than in your own. François de la Rochefoucauld. Fazil Iskander. Unwise people, but they came up with a wise proverb. Troubles teach a person wisdom. It is much easier to show wisdom in other people's affairs than in one's own. François de la Rochefoucauld. In Buddhism, the ideal of divine wisdom is embodied in the figure of the Bodhisattva Manjushri, known as the keeper of paradise in the East. According to Vajrayana tradition, Manjushri, along with Avalokiteshvara and Vajrapani, is one of the three main bodhisattvas. He is the central figure in one of the oldest works of Vajrayana, the Manjushri-Mulakalpa. Manjushri symbolizes wisdom, intellect, and will. He is often depicted as a handsome Indian prince seated on a lion. In his raised right hand, Manjushri holds a flaming sword, which dispels the darkness of ignorance. In his left hand, he holds a lotus, on which lies a scroll of the Prajnaparamita Sutra, the key sutra that embodies the essence of Mahayana teachings. One can endlessly regret lost time, but this is an unproductive path. It is better to use the opportunities the present offers. Yes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. By now, it would have already grown, but the next best time is right now. Scientists say that in the modern era, time seems to accelerate, and many processes occur much faster than in previous times. Whether this is tied to objective reality or just our psychological perception of time remains to be seen. As the famous song goes, we all rush after wonders, along with thousands of other things. We rush without fully realizing what is happening within our souls. Every day, people are attacked by so many distractions that even 24 hours seem insufficient for truly important thoughts, actions, or feelings. As the English proverb goes, time is what we want most, but what we use worst. Morning is wiser than the evening. A wise person can hear meaning from half a word. There is no greater wisdom than timeliness. Francis Bacon. When we realize that we missed something important in the past or made a mistake, we feel uneasy. We may panic and, in such a state, make new mistakes. What should we do? Here is one simple recipe that the poet Alexander Aronov wrote in his poem dedicated to L. Zhukovsky. Stop, look around, suddenly, at a turn on that accidental floor where you happen to wake up scraping your boot on the snow. Stop, look around see the day, the houses, yourself and quietly smile, Smile, rather than lament over what cannot be changed. This moment was written about by ancient sages, such as Marcus Aurelius. Does it matter whether your life lasts 300 or even 3,000 years? You live only in the present moment. No one can take away the past because it's already gone, nor the future because we do not yet possess it. Or as Albert Einstein said, there is something essential tied to now that lies beyond the reach of science. Blessed Augustine, a great sage of the early Middle Ages, came to the concept of the psychological perception of time through deep reflection. It is now perfectly clear, he wrote, that there is neither future nor past, and it is incorrect to speak of the existence of three times: past, present, and future. There are three times: present of the past, present of the present, and present of the future. These three times exist in our soul, and I do not see them anywhere else. The present of the past is memory, the present of the present is direct perception, the present of the future is its anticipation. Wise is the one who knows themselves. It is difficult to teach what you do not know yourself. A fool ignorant of wisdom is wiser than a sage greedy for ignorance. William Shakespeare. So, the next time we feel like time is flying by and there is not enough of it to fulfill our childhood dreams, ambitions from 20 years ago, or goals from last week, let's remember the English proverb, if you want time, you must make it. And here is a harsher but truthful version: a wise person does at once what a fool does at last. What is wisdom? Everyone understands it differently. For instance, psychological dictionaries offer various definitions. Wisdom is an expert knowledge system oriented toward the practical aspects of life, enabling sound judgment and providing useful advice on essential life matters. Wisdom is an intellectual and moral characteristic of an individual, a result of mastering social experience throughout life. Wisdom is also considered the most significant psychological formation in old age. Despite the many definitions, most agree that wisdom is the ability to use knowledge and experience to improve one's well-being and the well-being of others. In the past 2 decades, there has been growing interest in the study of wisdom in psychological science, particularly from researchers studying adult development stages and the positive aspects of aging. What distinguishes a wise person from others? Psychologist Jeffrey Dean Webster identified 5 components of wisdom. Wisdom consists of knowing what to do next, and virtue consists of doing it. David Starr Jordan. Even happiness suits the wise. Every wise man has a touch of simplicity. Fools argue with others, the wise argue with themselves. Oscar Wilde. Experience. There is no wisdom without rich and varied experience. Situations requiring complex decisions and significant life changes, as well as moments exposing negative aspects of life, such as deceit or lies, foster the development of wisdom. Therefore, wisdom is linked not directly to age but to a diversity of experiences. Emotional regulation. Many researchers believe that emotional awareness and control are key to wisdom. The ability to experience a broad spectrum of emotions, manage them appropriately, discern complex and subtle feelings, and constructively engage with both positive and negative emotions all contribute to wisdom. Reflection and reasoning. Reflecting on the past and present helps shape and maintain one's identity, understand personal strengths and weaknesses, adapt in difficult situations, and build perspectives for the future. Openness. Since people encounter a wide variety of challenges and problems, openness to different ideas, types of information, and alternative approaches allows individuals to overcome obstacles more effectively. Humor. A wise person appreciates and uses humor in various contexts. Humor helps to approach even negative situations with irony, reducing stress both for oneself and for others. The least good in life is wealth, the greatest is wisdom. Gotthold Ephraim Lessing. Wisdom does not come from a thick beard. Overcomplicating leads to failure. The wisdom of old age is more honest. Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of wisdom. Let's strive to be more attentive to ourselves and catch the moment when it's time to let go of a problem and take a pause. Beneath apparent simplicity lies very serious work. When we fuss, worry, or panic in situations beyond our control, we pay for it with our life reserves, which are not infinite. No one should overstep the limits. The wisdom of life is knowing moderation in all things. Hippocrates. A wise word is worth triple. A teacher in school is like sowing seeds in a field. Modern life provokes us into unnecessary actions, emotional outbursts, and energy spills. Some see this as a waste of nerves, while others notice signs, as if the world is telling us, stop, think, why is this happening? Perhaps, wisdom begins with the ability to pause, look around, listen to oneself, and find one's unique path.